Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Maskani and in this session I am gonna show you some useful vocabularies. Well, let's go on. First word, evidence. Evidence means that which makes clear the truth or falsehood of something. Examples. Number 1. Each juror felt he needed more evidence before voting to convict the former football star. Number 2. Her many awards were evidence enough that Leona excelled in dancing. Number 3. Our teacher ignored the evidence that Simon had cheated on the test. Solitary means alone, single, or only. Examples. Number 1. Sid's solitary manner kept him from making new friendship. Number 2. There was not a solitary piece of evidence that Manuel had eaten the cheesecake. Number 3. The convict went into a rage when he was placed in a solitary cell. Vision. Vision means power of seeing or sense of sight. Examples. Number 1. With the aid of the binoculars, my vision improved enough to see the entire vicinity. Number 2. Ted had perfect vision, and that helped to make him a good baseball player. Number 3. The glasses that Irma bought corrected her nearsighted vision. Frequent means happening often or occurring repeatedly. Examples. Number 1. We made frequent visits to the hospital to see our grandfather. Number 2. On frequent occasions, Sam fell asleep in class. Number 3. Dr. Bonner gave me some pills for my frequent headaches. Glimpse. Glimpse means a short or quick view. Examples. Number 1. This morning we caught our first glimpse of the beautiful shoreline. Number 2. One glimpse of the very feminine vision was enough to tell Romeo that he loved Juliet. Number 3. The tall shrubs kept us from getting a glimpse of the new people who inhabited the beach house. Recent means done, made, or occurring not long ago. Examples. Number 1. At a recent meeting, the Board of Education provided that evidence we had been asking for. Number 2. Bessie liked the old silent movies better than the more recent ones. Number 3. Recent studies have concluded that more people are unemployed than ever before. Decade. Decade means 10 years. Examples. Number 1. After a decade of granting salary increases, my boss ended the practice. Number 2. Many people moved out of this city in the last decade. Number 3. I have a vision that this decade will be better than the last one. Hesitate means fail to act quickly or be undecided. Examples. Number 1. Nora hesitated to accept the challenge. Number 2. When he got to the robbers' vicinity, they hesitated before going on. Number 3. The proverb tells us that he who hesitates is lost. Absurd means plainly not true or sensible, foolish. Examples. Number 1. It was absurd to believe the fisherman's tall tale. Number 2. The flabby boy realized that the suggestion to diet was not absurd. Number 3. Underestimating the importance of reading is absurd. Conflict. Conflict means direct opposition or disagreement. Examples. Number 1. Our opinions about the company's success in the last decade are in conflict with what the records show. Number 2. There was a noisy conflict over who was the better tennis player. Number 3. The class mediation team was invited to settle the conflict. Minority. Minority means a smaller number of parts, or less than half. Examples. Number 1. Only a small minority of the neighborhood didn't want a new park. Number 2. A minority of our athletes who competed in the Olympics were victorious. Number 3. Native Americans are a minority group in the United States. Fiction means that which is imagined or made up. Examples. Number 1. The story that the president had died was fiction. Number 2. We hardly ever believed Vinny because what he said was usually fiction. Number 3. Marge enjoys reading works of fiction rather than true stories. Words in use. The famous monster of the lake. There seems to be more and more evidence that the enormous monster in Loch Ness, a solitary lake in Scotland, is more than a vision. Each year there are numerous glimpses of the monster by visitors and neighborhood people. Also, recent films, not easy to ignore, are making even scientists hesitate. The story of frequent visits by a monster once seemed absurd to them, but now they are not so sure. Yet the conflict is far from over. Those who believe the monster exists are still in the minority, and they are constantly competing for more information to prove that the Loch Ness monster is not a fiction. Even now, they are trying to get more and clearer moving pictures of what has become the famous inhabitants of the lake. Perhaps the question of whether the monster exists or not will be answered in this coming decade.